Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video I'd like to discuss how the far-right thugs who've now attacked Sunderland have proved beyond any doubt that they do not even know this country. And I don't mean because their actions are clearly against the wishes of the majority of people living here, certainly living there. Not because it should be obvious that the vast majority are appalled that yet another community has been attacked, but because of an attempt they made yesterday, which isn't really getting much media attention, because it was a spectacular failure. And it was a failure that anyone who really knows about this country would have predicted. I mean, I did. The Times published an article yesterday in which it talked about some of the intended targets for attack by the far right this weekend. Because obviously we're talking large scale attacks here. What they're trying to do is hit multiple cities at once. So inevitably, the operation from their point of view is so widespread, information is going to get out. And, you know, I was looking at this sort of list of some of the places supposedly being targeted, and one stood out. I looked at it, I thought, one of them was Liverpool. And I thought, are you sure about this? I actually said on the Politics Social stream yesterday afternoon with Graham Hughes, who's from Liverpool, he knows this better than I do. I thought that's a fairly stupid target to pick. Because here's the thing, just strategically, there are some communities who will make a huge show of standing against this. We saw it in Southport. We're seeing it today in Sunderland. You know, in Southport, volunteers went out the next day repairing the damaged walls of the local mosque and people's homes. In Sunderland today, volunteers are getting together to help with the cleanup operation as well. You know, these communities are making sure they give a visible sign that these thugs don't speak for the people at all. But these are shows of defiance after the event. There are a couple of places in this country where famously, if you come from outside and try and cause trouble, they won't wait for you to leave. They will come out of their houses and give you what for at the time. You go to these places, you won't just be dealing with the authorities, you'll be dealing with the people themselves. They'll be in your face. And at top of that list would be Liverpool and Glasgow. Don't go trying to cause trouble there. It won't end well for you. And then I read a little report in The Guardian last night. Not getting much attention, as I say. Sunderland is the main news. I mean, that's seen like some of the worst, if not the worst, violence we've seen so far. I mean, because it's where the rioters sort of got their way. Only, I say it's sort of, they didn't quite succeed in attacking the mosque as they would have liked. But they torched the police station, they sacked the city centre. It turned out a group tried to target a mosque in Liverpool. But they found a bit of a reception waiting for them. They were badly outnumbered by members of the public who were not prepared to allow fascists to trash the place. The article went on to say that by about 9 p.m, there were only a few of the would-be rioters left, huddled under a tree trying to shelter from the rain. Journalists went over from The Guardian to speak to them, and apparently they said, oh, no, we're not far out, we've just come along for a look. You've come along for a look. That's why you're wearing balaclavas, is it? Yeah, balaclavas, they're brilliant for enhancing your vision, aren't they? This is like the guy in Southport who got bricked in the Ghoulies, only this was the whole lot of them being humiliated. But this is the serious point I want to make. So these thick racist fascists, right, they were doomed from the start. I knew that Liverpool was just one of these places you weren't going to get away with it. This response was entirely predictable. If they know that you're going to target a particular place, they'll be out in force waiting for you. I knew it would happen. And I've never lived in Liverpool. I've only been a few times in my life, but it's famous for this sort of community reaction. So why didn't the organisers of these attacks know that? Because it's not just that they don't speak for the country, and they certainly don't act for the country. They don't even know the country. You know, like all extremists, they live their lives cloistered from reality. They don't go around ordinary people. They don't go around people with different views and they're not part of the mixing pot. They're trapped in echo chambers where they just warp each other's perceptions of reality. Like, did none of them at their hate strategy meeting, not when someone suggested this, not drag their knuckles off the floor and go, oh, are you sure about Liverpool? Their knowledge of their own country and its history is appalling. They say they want their country back, and they think their vision of the country used to exist at some point in the past and was somehow taken away. It never existed, only ever existed in their minds. Their narrow experiences of this country feeding some sort of confirmation bias. It's because they never actually went out to the country. Groups like this have been raging against multiculturalism since before living memory. These sort of groups with these sort of complaints and these sort of, oh, we need to go back to how it was. They've been like this. They were like this in the 80s and the 70s and the 60s, going right back to the 1800s, 1700s. They've always been there. They've been there since living memory. Not one of them remembers a time when Britain was this place they think it used to be and should be again, because it's never been that. Britain has always been multicultural, always. Going back centuries, millennia. You know, there are some communities they can target and get away with it, assuming they're prepared to keep losing some of their more violent knuckle draggers to prison after each attack, because that's going to happen now. The CPS have set up teams of special prosecutors working around the clock, they say, to deal with the charges quickly. We're not going to have this, you know, they're not going into the normal system, which is delayed because of huge backlogs, thanks very much to the Tories. No, they're making sure that these are dealt with quickly. They're going to make sure that the most serious offenders are dealt with quickly. It's ironic in some ways. Sunak said he'd set aside Justice Department resources like courts and so on to fast track the legal process for challenges against the Rwanda plan. A use of already stretched resources to push an illegally cruel policy against vulnerable people. Well, the same sort of provision is now being used to deal with people who are actually invading our communities. Because asylum seekers don't kick people's houses in. They don't kick people's places of worship in. They don't loot high streets. They don't fire missiles at statues in London or give Nazi salutes at the cenotaph. They don't torch cars or buildings. I mean, in Sunderland, they torched the Citizens Advice Bureau in Sunderland. This is a place where people who are really struggling, like you're really struggling, you don't know where else to turn, you go to the Citizens Advice and they will help you, right? They help you. These thugs are literally attacking buildings which help people in severe poverty who've got a crisis they can't deal with and they need help. You know, from Citizen Advice, who will advise people on what they can do about a problem, to mosques who provide free food and other help to those desperately in need. These are places which help keep communities together in this country. And they were specifically targeted. These racists aren't doing anything for this country. They're literally trying to tear it apart. And they're attacking the parts of the country that actually help those most in need. Specifically targeting places which help people in poverty. Why? Because the people directing them are all millionaires who don't give a shit about the poor. And it won't work. I don't know what they hope to achieve with this and other planned attacks. I get that they're just following the Nazi playbook. This is exactly what happened in 1930s Germany. All those people go, oh, you always have to bring the Nazis into it. It's exactly what they did. They're following the same tactics. It's just, it's not going to work this time. They are going to get shut down. The public want it. And now we've got a government who wants it as well. Mind you, part of that process will surely have to involve dealing with not just the thugs on the streets, but the organisers, who, I mean, they're not in the thick of it. And then those inciting the violence online, on television and in the newspapers. But that's a discussion for another video. I am feeling vaguely silly at the moment that it was only a matter of days ago I was saying, oh, August's set up to be a bit boring, isn't it? Politically, the main entertainment's going to come from the Tory leadership contest. Turns out August may well be the month when the silent majority actually fights back against what has been a lot of momentum going the way of the far right for far too many years. Because we've had a government that's allowed them to. I've noticed senior Tories have now started to condemn the violence after last night. They've now, the likes of James Cleverly and Robert Jenrick have now started to say, oh, this isn't on. Several days late, but, you know, better late than never, I suppose. I think the far right have overreached themselves here. But I'll leave it on a positive note for now, because we're going to be discussing this a lot, I think. Well done, Liverpool. I don't know what on earth they were thinking, even trying anything there. I gather they're supposed to be, I don't think that was the main one last night. I gather there's supposed to be an attack on like the Liver buildings today as well, this afternoon. I can't imagine that's going to go well for them either, if true. But there we are. Those are my thoughts. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe for further content and click the like button. You can also sign up for memberships if you'd like to support the channel further. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'll see you later.